Nerding on the Dbacks! Woo!
Hello, welcome to NDTOW, Nerding on the Dbacks.
You almost stuck that landing.
What an intro, gotta say. 5 stars. Anyways, I am son/Sven for today because my little brother is a Frozen fan, and you are
Dad, and I'm Hans.
He's the bad guy.
I'm the bad guy?
Yeah, you're the bad guy.
What? I thought I was the dude with the reindeer.
No, that's Kristoff.
Oh man.
I'm a Frozen fan too.
Now I'm really gonna have to embrace this role in a whole different way than what I've been doing for the last week. Yeah, so we've got Phoenix is a younger brother. He's 4, and he just found Frozen about 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
And oh my goodness, is he so everyone in our house is a Frozen fan. Phoenix is Sven. I am Hans.
I'm a reindeer.
He is Princess Anna, and and his mom, my wife Mary Beth, is Queen.
Oh, you wanted me to say that? Sorry, Elsa.
That's
and
a cute.
You want to know what's funny is that my mom / Mary Beth, shout out, great mom. She has red hair, and so does Anna. And Limerick / my little brother is blonde, and like I said this at dinner last night. I was like, why aren't you Elsa? You should be, because you're blonde. And my mom was like, yeah, why am I Elsa? So it was very funny, but apparently he likes Anna way more.
Yeah, so anyway, we're going through that in the house right now. Yeah. I don't know if you know this.
We used to be Toy Story
That's
characters.
right. We were Toy Story characters for like 2 months. I think Frozen is probably the movie you have watched more than any other movie. Even though you probably don't remember a whole lot about it necessarily. You watched it nonstop.
From 5 and lower, I don't remember anything.
Yeah. I mean, you watched it a ton when you were like 2, 3, 4 years old. It was crazy. Well, I would say mostly 2, 3, and a little bit when.
Wait, which
4.
one? Frozen 1
yeah,
or
just
Frozen
the first
2?
one.
Okay.
The second one wasn't out yet. So after we got through all of that, the acronym that Phoenix didn't quite stick the landing on, but was going for was NOTD, Nerding on the Dbacks. That's our pod show. You're listening to us now. Please like, follow, subscribe, comment, review, and most of all, please
share. Just share.
Yeah, come on.
Haven't your kindergarten teachers always taught you just
That's
to
right.
share?
Channel your inner kindergartner and share. Just share. So
if you have a kid, just tell them to share.
So it's being the off season. We got a fun little exercise kind of game, not really a game, but something fun we're going to do here later in the show on this short episode, the first one of our short episodes. But since it's the off season and we're kind of looking mostly at what they're going to do this off season and reviewing, we went over the DH, which is need number 1 on the to-do list right now for Mike Hazen and squad. And number 2 on the to-do list at this point is a backup catcher, I feel. And we need a backup catcher. I know. So we're going to look at the catcher position a little bit more and go into details. So with that, of course, we have the one catcher that we have under contract. He's a stud, Gabby Moreno.
Gabby, wow.
Gabby. We're bros.
Gabriel.
Whatever. We're bros like that. So yeah, I call him Gabby. He calls me, hey pal.
I'll sign
we're
your baseball.
Yeah. So yeah, Gabby's awesome. Now the one downside to Gabby being awesome.
Okay, just say Moreno from now on. Gabby just sounds like a girl name.
Okay, fine. He really goes by Gabby, right?
He does?
Yes. I mean, yes, his baseball card says Gabriel, whatever. But he is lovingly referred to by D-backs fans everywhere as Gabby.
Fine, Gabby, come on.
So he's a catcher. Catchers wear out. Catchers can't play as many games as anybody else on the field. Catchers can barely handle more games than a lot of relief pitchers. So we need to find a good backup for this man. Let's talk about him. We don't want him catching 120 games. It would be awesome if he could handle it, but you're going to break him down. That sounds terrible. So he has the makings of a great catcher, but outside of JT Realmuto, no catcher is behind the dish that much anymore. 120 games, except for Salvador Perez. So we need to find a way to keep him fresh in the lineup and producing.
Who's Salvador Perez?
Salvador Perez is a catcher, part-time catcher, part-time DH for the KC Royals. He had something for like a few seasons in a row where he was catching like 140 games or something like that. It was nuts. It was absolutely bizarre. It was so crazy. I've never seen. I mean, that's like Johnny Benchian.
Who's Johnny Benchian?
I love it. Johnny Bench was an old-time great for the Cincinnati Reds. I should know this better. He's regarded as the best catcher of all time, and it's really not even close. He is what Babe Ruth is to home run hitters. Johnny Bench is to catchers. He's fantastic.
That's a good metaphor.
Yeah. Thank you. Man, that is probably going to have all kinds of feedback.
Oh, that's going to hurt. I'm sorry.
We need to find a way to keep him fresh because catchers, ideal is 90 to 100 games behind the plate during a regular season. And then hopefully we can find a way to get him, depending on what they do at DH, get him into the lineup for another 40 games as a DH.
Also, I just want to say this. We're going to our 30-minute podcast 2 times a week. I just wanted to say that so you guys weren't like, what? Why isn't it an hour? I wanted an hour. So, yeah. Like we said in our last episode, we did an hour on that one, but now we're doing 30 minutes.
Quite the ad-lib, Phoenix. That's why you get paid the big bucks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Sven. You gotta stop that.
I'm sorry. It's like I have like ADHD or something.
Yeah. Usually don't. Right now though, it's just look out into you, kid. All right, so I'm just teasing you. I love this guy. It's the comic relief. We like I said, 90 to 100 games behind the plate. Look at the top hitting catchers in MLB in 2023: Sean Murphy, Will Smith, William Contreras, Adley Rutschman. The one thing that they all had in common is they were right around 100 games starting at catcher, give or take. I think the most somebody had was 104 out of that group, and the lowest was 96. So that's where you want to be. And we need somebody to be picking up the slack in those other 60-ish games at catcher. So you want to abuse a potential all-star catcher at such a young age, not only for the 2024 season, because catchers are really volatile in production because of injuries, wear and tear, but also even as the season goes on, a lot of catchers, their numbers diminish as the season goes on. And most of all, you don't want to derail his career because of playing him too much when he's just getting his MLB career started, because this dude could be a stud. And
I mean, if it was me, I would not like to have my hand punched with a baseball for 120, I bet like 100 times a day, like 100 times a game.
It's probably about 150 pitches a game are thrown. I actually don't know the answer to that. I'd be curious to know though. 150 to 170. Oh man! All right, you're full of sound effects here.
I'm sorry. I'm so ADHD. I have ADHD. I feel like
you don't.
I don't,
you
but
don't.
I feel bad for the
Thank
people
goodness.
who. I feel bad for the people who have ADHD.
So let's discuss. We got on the roster as the backup at this moment, even though he's on a minor league deal. I think Tucker Barnhart is pretty much agreed upon as he is the backup if the season started today or, God forbid, tomorrow. And Tucker Barnhart, let's discuss him a little bit. He was good through 2021. Then he fell off a cliff.
He did?
Yeah, and because of falling off that cliff, his hitting got kind of terrible.
Why? Because he broke his arm from falling off the cliff?
He was somewhere in Cincinnati. He took a wrong step off of a walkway. I'm not sure exactly.
Grand Canyon?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a cliff, but it was essentially a cliff. It was straight down onto concrete. And so
Rest in peace.
Yeah, that cliff got him. And so he's been, since then, like I said, he's been pretty rough at the plate. He's been league average on defense. He can't really throw guys out real well, but he's good at blocking pitches, calling games, framing pitches. So that part is good.
Yeah.
However, if you go to his Baseball Savant page, almost everything on his Baseball Savant page for 2023 was in the blue.
Do you want to talk about what Savant is again?
Yeah, so Baseball Savant is, for those who don't know, Baseball Savant is a website. You can just go baseballsavant.com. It's where MLB posts all of its StatCast data. And so all the StatCast data is there, everything you want to see. So you could go look at what expected numbers are, what barrel rates are, launch angle. So for Tucker Barnhart specifically, they have what his framing runs are, how many blocks he had behind the plate, or runs he saved with blocks compared to other catchers, what his pop time is. And his pop time is, because it's not really fair to measure catchers based on stolen base percentage, because so many of the stolen bases are done off the pitcher. They're not really done off the catcher. So pop time is a better way to evaluate catchers and their ability to control the run game. And that is, pop time is from the time that the pitch as the catcher goes pop into your glove, and you get it out and you throw it down to second base and it goes pop into the fielder's glove. That's called pop time. And so pop time is the time that it takes from the time the catcher catches the ball to the time the second baseman catches the ball from the catcher shortstop.
Do we know Gabby or Tucker's pop time?
So Gabby's great. Gabby was, I want to say, right around 85, 86. I'm not certain about that, but he's fantastic. Whereas Tucker Barnhart, I think he was around like 15% pop time, just not real great. So we could really use someone better. Catchers miss more time than any other position outside of pitcher, which I discussed. Be really wise to add someone better, or at least as good as Tucker Barnhart, to see which one gives you a better option throughout the season as you go on, maybe even just coming out of spring training. You also might, we'll go into a little bit more, but at least the team set a floor of reliable production out of catcher who you're not going to be frustrated with having back there in case they do miss out on all the other options. But like I said at the top, I do believe it is number 2 on the to-do list for Mike Hazen after adding a middle of the order bat. So obvious options on the free agent market. There's really only a couple. Catcher has a dearth of talent right now on the free agent market. Let's face it, when a team gets a good catcher, they almost never let them go because they are really hard to replace. It's kind of like having a good shortstop or a good center fielder. You just almost never let them go elsewhere. So Gary Sanchez is the most obvious gem out there. And let's talk about Gary Sanchez. Gary Sanchez had a 111 WRC plus, which I'm actually just going to start referring to as work plus. I feel like it's a good term, like WOBA, Work plus. So work plus in 2023 was 111, which is actually better than Teoscar Hernandez. He's solid behind the plate with an absolute cannon of an arm. I think he was in like the 90th percentile for pop time. And he has great block. He has decent blocking and really good pitch framing skills. The arm, talking about that arm and his pop time, that arm is more valuable in the modern game with the changes to the base size and the pickoff rules, as well as because runners are now timing up the pitchers based on that pitch clock. When you can go because when the pitcher's got to deliver it. So it's more important to have a really good catcher back there now than ever and control that run game. When he's healthy, Gary Sanchez absolutely smashes the ball. Like I said, he had a better OPS than Teoscar Hernandez in 2023. He's only 6 points in OPS or WRC plus, both of them, 6 points behind Jorge Soler since the start of the 2021 season. That's crazy. Jorge Soler is going to probably get 3 times as much money as Gary Sanchez, and he can barely field the ball. He's almost entirely a DH. Gary Sanchez is a good defensive catcher who's almost as good of a hitter as Jorge Soler. It's really insane. So they also have very similar splits. So getting Gary Sanchez, I proposed this idea as an option for DH, taking care of DH and catcher in one signing. DH and backup catcher. So what you could do is you could rotate Gabby and Gary, keeping them both healthy and fresh all season long. You could start Gabby behind the plate for 95 games. You could start Gary for the rest. And then when the one is behind the plate, the other one DHs. When the other one DHs, when that one's back behind the plate, they DH. Just go back and forth between catcher and DH. Keeps them both fresh, keeps them both healthy all season long, producing at a high level. Hopefully keeps them both. The most important part is here is keeps them both producing at their top of their game because they only have to spend about half of the games behind home plate. Obviously, when we get to the playoffs, because we're going to the playoffs, Moreno is going to take pretty much every start behind the plate at that point. He's a vastly superior defensive catcher. But when you're talking regular season, just rotating back and forth between them to keep them both healthy, you might be giving up half a run on defense, but you're gaining half a win on defense, but you're gaining a win to a win and a half on offense. That's a trade-off you got to make every time. So I love this idea. I'm not saying it's the best idea for the D-backs, but I think it's a very reasonable idea that would probably solid. Probably cost them in the realm of a Brandon Belt if they went the Gary Sanchez route instead. Jock Peterson's probably going to cost a little bit more, but Belt you could certainly just flip and go Gary Sanchez if you wanted to instead. I do think that I wouldn't be surprised if this combo, due to health and ability, outproduces any and I know this is going to sound crazy, but I'm very serious, JD Martinez plus Gabby plus Barnhart on the roster in the simulated seasons these MLB teams like the D-backs run when they're looking at player acquisitions and projecting out what they think signings are going to do for them. And I'm very serious. I really think they could because it keeps both of those guys. I think Moreno's got a good chance if he was playing in a rotation system like this of putting up something around the realm of a 115, 120 OPS plus. I think Sanchez easily could put up a 110 just like he did last year and a few seasons in his past. Again, 6 points of OPS plus behind Jorge Soler since the start of 2021. This guy mashes the ball and nobody realizes it because of his reputation when he was with the Yankees. And so he's figured something out, guys, and it's worth finding out if it's something real and sustainable. you can get him on a 1-year contract, I'm sure. And unlike JD Martinez, who's going to take at least 2, maybe even 3 years, Belt, you can get on a 1-year contract as well. Jock Peterson probably might be able to get on a 1, but probably a 2. So this is a really good solution for 1 year at a reasonable cost. You could probably pick up Gary Sanchez at something like $8 million. We don't know what the budget's like. JD Martinez, I keep stressing this, is almost certainly out of the range of the D-backs. JD Martinez is probably going to cost 2 years at $40 million. And
Whoa.
That's something that the D-backs just don't have. That wouldn't just surpass, we're already past what they've set a new franchise record. We've blown by what that franchise record was. And this would, I just don't think that's realistic. Peterson, Belt, Sanchez, probably the most realistic and best options out there at this point.
Peterson.
So he'd certainly be in range. If they have anything to spend, he's signable. And even if JDM is in the budget, you could go this route and still sign a really solid pitcher out there on the free agent market as well to take that 5th spot, giving us more depth because, baseball teams need depth when it comes to the rotation. The other option is Kurt Casale. He's the only other guy on the free agent market. He's actually a former battery rotation mate, caddy, if you will, with Tucker Barnhart from the Reds in 2018 to 2020. He's not great, but arguably a little bit of an upgrade over Barnhart. Fangraphs and Zips project Casale to be the better player. Fangraphs, I should clarify, Steamer and Zips project Casale to be the better hitter in 2024. He's likely got a higher floor than Barnhart does.
What do you mean by that?
So I think Casale likely has a higher floor, meaning Barnhart could be an absolute dumpster fire. There's the potential he is a negative, very, very good potential. He's a negative WAR player for the season and below average, below replacement level, where Casale's certainly going to be above replacement level. Barnhart, I wouldn't be surprised if he puts up like a 40 OPS plus on this season, whereas I don't think Casale is going to go lower than like a 75. So as well as Casale has, they have similar, very, very, very similar savant pages. That said, Casale has slightly better xWOBA and better ball metrics than Barnhart does. In a vacuum, do you know what in a vacuum means?
No.
Okay, so in a vacuum means if you aren't taking anything else into consideration, fit, anything like that. Casale and Barnhart are pretty similar level catchers. I probably prefer Barnhart on its own, as his upside would appear greater if he can return to his pre-2022 form. But that's asking a lot of a 33-year-old catcher. The one major difference between these two is Casale is a right-handed hitter, Barnhart's a left-handed hitter. So Casale makes a ton of sense if they sign a left-handed hitting DH like Peterson or Belt.
Yes, do it.
Casale can play catcher against all the left-handed pitchers.
I need my single.
Letting him hit against his strongest side because Casale hits left-handed pitching better than right-handed pitching, and Barnhart hits right-handed pitching better than left-handed pitching. So if they got a left-handed DH, they certainly would want to go and sign Casale. Then they can move Moreno into the DH spot against lefties and sit Belt or Peterson on those days. He likely can be had on a minor league deal, just like Barnhart. It's not going to take much. Maybe $1.5 million, and you have to guarantee him a roster spot. Oh well, you sign him before before the season even starts. Usually there's a clause in there that you don't even have to pay those guys their full salary if you cut them before the regular season starts, if they just show up at spring training and they're cooked. Because he is, I think, 35, 36. So he is a little older. So unless they have someone else they'll be adding, seems like a no, unless they're going to sign Gary Sanchez, or we've got one more to talk about who's not a free agent, but unless they add somebody else, he seems like a no-brainer to sign to a minor league deal if that's what's available and have him compete with Barnhart for that backup role. Now, the last part that I want to bring up is Christian Vazquez. Christian Vazquez is being openly shopped by the Twins.
Here we go.
If they didn't have so many being openly shopped guys, I wouldn't bring them up, but they really do. They've got 3 guys on their team that are being openly shopped. It shows up constantly on MLB Trade Rumors. He's a 2-time World Series winner with the Red Sox in 2018 and the Astros in 2022. 2023 was a down season offensively, but he was solid through 2022. He's an excellent defender. Like, this is a guy he's a better defender than Gary Sanchez by a nudge. Certainly not up to Moreno, but he's a vastly superior defensive catcher to either Casali or Barnhart. He would be a serious upgrade on the roster at backup catcher.
Backup catcher, really?
He's been a fine...
Would you put him as backup catcher?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd still probably have him start 70 games on the season. I'd be confident in that, and moving Moreno to DH. So this is, again, we'll get into his fit potentially if they got him. He's, like I said, excellent defender. He's been a finalist for the Gold Glove on a few occasions. Here's the roadblock. He has 2 years and $20 million left on his deal. The Twins said, though, that they are cutting payroll. They need to get rid of guys, which is why they have so many players on the trade block. They would have to include cash to make it a small impact on the 2023 payroll. And by they, I mean the Twins. The Twins would have to include cash in this deal. And it wouldn't have a ton of impact on the 2023 payroll, but they would do it to free up just a little bit more. When you're trying to cut roster, when you're trying to cut your budget as a team, every cut helps. And so if they could make a trade with, say, $8 million to cover that, take it down to $6 million each year. So essentially you're picking up a 2-12 deal to have Christian Vazquez as the backup catcher. I don't think that's a terrible deal. It probably only takes someone like Kyle Nelson or Miguel Castro, maybe Blake Walston. But I know that sounds crazy, but I'm serious. The Twins are in desperate need of unloading Christian Vazquez. And they have a pretty awesome catcher coming up, ready to go. He smashed AAA pitching last year. He's a great defender. And so they want to put him into the backup role in 2024. And they need Vazquez gone. And they can save money at the same time. So that's why he's being shopped so hard. They would take just about anything for him, giving them a useful piece in their bullpen, because their bullpen looks like hot garbage right now. For a contending team, I think the Twins would go for that, and it honestly may not even take Kyle Nelson or Blake Wilson. It may just take like a C-level prospect, and that gets it done. So the Twins, let's see, yeah, I went over all that. So why this makes sense? If the Twins do sign Brandon Belt, this is almost only in the case of Brandon Belt would you go and add Christian Vazquez. But if you sign Brandon Belt to be your DH, you can essentially, again, trade for Vazquez, platoon, this sounds silly, but platoon Belt and Vazquez through catcher and DH.
What does platoon mean?
Have Belt face the right-handed pitchers as the DH against lefties, have Vazquez play catcher against against left-handed pitchers, and Moreno takes over at DH, and Belt takes a seat on the pine.
So like I was talking about Jock Peterson of him taking over the righties, right? That's what
Versus the righties, yeah. So this would, if you got Peterson, you probably couldn't. I'm just taking a guess that the Diamondbacks have about $10 million left to spend. If you're gonna go sign Peterson, you're just getting Peterson. Where if you're getting Belt, you probably can pick up Belt and Vasquez on a deal like this would probably be about the same amount of money as Peterson would be. And so that's why I bring this up as an option. I would rather have Sanchez, just sign Sanchez and another pitcher.
or Michael Brantley.
Brantley. We discussed this. So if they why they would do it again, he'd also be a fit if Peterson or, God forbid, Justin Turner was signed and there's budget left over. He'd improve the entire pitching staff. This is where the beauty of a good catcher comes in. This is why someone like Gary Sanchez and especially Christian Vasquez is more valuable as a backup, because they make the entire pitching staff better. And versus Barnhart or Casali, who are going to be okay. They're not going to hurt you necessarily too much behind the plate at catcher, but those other guys are superior defensive catchers. So that's what I have to say about catcher. Now, to clarify, the options on the table are, as I see it, are JD Martinez, which I don't think is really an option because of the cost.
Yeah.
Jock Peterson. And that's probably all you're getting is Jock Peterson. Or you could go get Brandon Belt and trade for someone like Vasquez, or add Kurt Casali to essentially platoon with him the same way you would do Vasquez. Or go get Gary Sanchez and have him and Moreno just completely handle the DH and catcher spot together. So that's it. All right. So we're going to go into this next exercise. This is
exercise.
We're going to call it an exercise. It's a fun little something to do on a show. We're going to call this. Well, so first, let me give you some backstory. I suggested to Phoenix, hey, you know what we should do? We should make a Mount Rushmore of the Diamondbacks personnel.
This was on a car ride, by the way.
Yeah, for the 2023 season, and I thought that was a great idea. I mean, I feel like it's.
I also thought it was a good idea.
But and then Phoenix suggested something even better, which was.
I think we should call it Mount Swagmore.
That's right, and we're gonna put on this mount, which is Swagmore instead of Rushmore, the players. Well, not the players, the personnel with the Diamondbacks who have the most swag.
Okay, I feel
yeah.
like you all know who's the George Washington here.
That's right. Throw it at him.
My hair's not cooperating right now, but it's Lourdes Gurriel, our boy. Purple hair is just awesome. It's just like
the confidence he's got. Yeah, Gurriel has more swag than pretty much any other player in Major League Baseball this side of Juan Soto. He's oozing it every time he goes to the plate, every time he runs down a fly ball, every time he steals a base, every pitch he takes. It's just fantastic. I absolutely love it. He's got flair. He got swag, baby.
That's why we call it Mount Swagmore. So
that's right. He's got it. He has got the it. So that part's fantastic. So we're both in agreement there. Who do you have for your number 2 on your Mount Swagmore?
I would say Ketel Marte.
Ketel Marte. Interesting. Tell me why you think Ketel Marte would be number 2 on the swag.
I like his energy, and I think he's very good too.
He's clutch. Obviously, hit a ton of clutch hits.
I love his gear too.
Yeah, his gear is fantastic. Okay, I can respect that. So
he's got that swag.
all right, we're gonna have to settle on this because between the two of us, we got to settle on just 4. So my number 2 is Kevin Ginkel. Kevin Ginkel.
I would
mean
agree
this
with
with
this.
all
I
due
would agree with this.
I mean this with all due respect. You had him on your Mount Swagmore?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Kevin Ginkel's on Mount Swagmore. He handles himself on the mound like a professional wrestler. And he has the look to match. He looks out there like he's trying to fire up the crowd, like standing up on the turnbuckle and getting them into it and doing the stare down every time he strikes somebody out, just staring them down as they walk back to the dugout. And he's all fired up and going crazy out there.
Next thing you know, he has a can of whoop.
He's got a can of whoop out on that's probably illegal. I'm not certain about this, but I'm fairly certain about this, that having a can of swag, but he could just like have it on the have a tin of swag in his pocket. So yeah, I think so. Kevin Ginkel's on Mount Swagmore for sure. He's a lock. Okay, who's another candidate that you had in your mind for Mount Swagmore here? Obviously, Kevin Ginkel. So you've already got 3 out there. We got Kevin Ginkel and Lourdes Gurriel locks. Ketel Marte sitting as an option on the table. So my third one, since we already pulled one out there, unless you want to say something else about Kevin Ginkel.
No. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I mean, gotta love the name too. Ginkel.
He's the Gink.
The Gink.
What?
The Gink machine.
1 in the Gink, 2 in the stink. And so,
oh my God.
The next player that I would nominate, or next person that I would nominate in the D-backs organization is Torey Lovullo. Torey Lovullo brings as much swag with him to a major league clubhouse as any manager in baseball. I feel like we could say this. He's a ballsy manager. The way he managed that team through the playoffs, leaving Fott in at that amazing Game 3, far past what I am sure he and Hazen and all the brain trust that group had going into the game, and what they had decided how they were going to handle that situation. I'm sure Torey left him in longer than they had. I mean, we saw what happened with Blake Snell a few years ago for the Rays, getting taken out after 5. And I have no doubts that Lovullo bucked what the book was to start the game and wrote his own book. That right there alone. But he also pushed all the right buttons. He gave an amazing, if you guys haven't seen it, I'm going to drop it in the link here for this video /podcast. If you guys haven't seen it, he gave an amazing post-game speech after the playoffs, after they clinched a spot in the playoffs. He has a great balance of what the book says he should do by the numbers and the feel or the game flow. He's a fantastic manager. I absolutely love the swag he brings to the clubhouse as a manager. So that's my third nominee. Who's your final nominee, Phoenix?
My final nominee is actually Corbin Carroll, because
that's a good one. I mean,
I feel like when you see his face, you're like, that's Corbin Carroll.
So he's just got like baseball, like GQ swag. Like everybody knows him because he's the best. He's rookie of the year. He was an MVP candidate. I mean, down ballot, but yes.
I just feel like when you see his face, you're like, that's Corbin Carroll. I love his beard too. His beard always gets me. I'm just like, yeah.
All right. I could respect. I mean, he seems a little bit more of like a. He's got quiet swag. Like he just.
Oh yeah. He.
His swag is his play.
Yeah.
Basically.
He's not maybe this is different in the clubhouse, but I feel like he's not the type of guy to like hype up the team and like really like, let's get it on.
Yeah. No, I expect. I mean, Lavello is fantastic at that, but if a player is going to take it on, I think you're right with your other pick. Cattell Marte is probably that guy who's taken on that role. Maybe Lourdes Gurriel as well.
Oh, yeah.
Though Lourdes is probably the one who's, when the team's getting down, I feel like Lourdes is more the guy who keeps everybody up, where Marte is probably the guy who brings everybody up.
Yeah, you're not gonna
gets them fired up.
You're not gonna ignore the guy with purple hair. That's just
Right.
like not a thing.
Yeah, he seems fantastic. So you know what? I like that pick a lot. My last pick, and for what I just said, I think Gurriel, Ginkel, and I think Cartel Marte, with what I just said, because I think you're right, probably gets that third spot, locks up that third spot on Mount Swagmore here. But I want to also nominate Gabriel Moreno. He's a rookie. He's super fun. He's got the green hair. We don't know what color it is right now. We don't know what he's going to show up with when he comes to spring training. Luckily, we're going to get to see him before most of these guys because, pitchers and catchers report 2 weeks before everybody else does. And so we'll get to see what it looks like. And maybe in a couple of years after Moreno's established himself a little bit more, he becomes the sway guy. But I mean, he was batting third for the World Series runner-up all the way through the playoffs. I mean, that dude was oozing swag. He was one of the best catchers in baseball, defensive catchers in baseball. And as the season went on, his hitting really developed quite a bit. And he's fun. But, okay, so we got Lourdes Gurriel, we got Kevin Ginkel, we got Cartel Marte. Who are we going to stick on that final spot?
I'm just gonna say the manager.
Yeah, Torey Lavello.
Yeah.
I think Torey Lavello as well. Torey Lavello gets the final spot on Mount Swagmore. So there we go, Mount Swagmore. So we got Mount Swagmore, January 2023. We're calling it Lourdes Gurriel, Kevin Ginkel, Cattell Marte, Torey Lavello.
All right.
You are Mount Swagmore of the Diamondbacks. We love you guys. So again,
we're gonna put up a picture of the Mount Swagmore right here, right now. Do it, Dad. Come on, do it.
Done.
Yeah.
All right. So again, guys, we're Nerdy on the D-backs. We'd love it if you checked out the notes below or description. Find us on all the different channels. Engage with us. Subscribe, like, comment, and most of all, share. So
we sound like your kindergarten teachers.
So thank you guys so much for listening and watching. We appreciate you. We hope to see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Nerdy on the D-backs. Woo!
Are we testing this?
No, go ahead.
Can we start over?